originally from the American Senate, and this Senate or the National Assembly have a responsibility.
Senate rejects religious narrative of Nigeria's insecurity. Expedite passage of reserved seats for women. Women and youth leaders urge National Assembly. National Council of State unanimously approves appointment of Professor Amukwitan as INEC chairman. Hello and welcome to the news desk at 6 on NTA News 24, live from Abuja. I am Eucharia Clinton. Senate will next week decide an appropriate line of action over allegation of religious persecution, emphasizing that insecurity in Nigeria is not religious-driven. This was in response to a motion which seeks to correct misconception on purported Christian genocide narrative in Nigeria and in the international community. While it mules the idea of sending a delegation to interact with members of parliaments in America and Canada as the issue is under consideration there, the Nigerian Senate believes the allegation is targeted at strangulating the economy of Nigeria, and it would also affect the unity among citizens.
This is coming originally from the American Senate, and this Senate or the National Assembly have a responsibility.
In view of the sensitivity of the issues involved, I would just say that let our resolution here today on the basis of this motion be that as a Senate, it is our conviction that the insecurity problem, the insecurity challenge in Nigeria is not religion-driven.
This motion is noted and accepted by the Senate, but further legislative actions should be postponed to Tuesday next week, when we can have executive sessions to have a comprehensive discussion on ways and means of responding to the international threats to Nigeria, particularly where insecurity in Nigeria is multifaceted and not only religious-driven.
Senate has resolved to discuss the matter at an executive session next week at plenary. Similarly, clerics have expressed deep concern over the selective reporting of violence in Nigeria, worrying that it fuels misconceptions and exacerbates tension. Speaking on Good Morning Nigeria, the guest noted that many killings, particularly in the north, go unreported, leading to a distorted view of which groups are being targeted. Ekemini Williams monitored the discussion.
United States Senator Ted Cruz recently sparked controversy with claims of genocide against Christians in Nigeria, promoting mixed reactions. Some clerics in NTA acknowledged Nigeria's complex history of religious tensions, but emphasized that current security challenges are more nuanced, with various groups being targeted. They cautioned against external interference, suggesting some foreign voices seek to exploit Nigeria's diversity for their own gain.
The bill emanating from outside of the shores of the nation seem to suggest that some other people are even more interested in the welfare of Nigeria. And, that's why it's suspicious.
What was clear is that that figure was a huge exaggeration. Because I've made research around the north. In the last 6 months, in the last 1 year, we don't have a situation, we don't have one state that can tell us, apart from the Yelwaita story in Benue, and then the killings in Plateau. But to a large extent, there is great reduction in the mass killing.
What our enemies want to gain, it is what we are doing. For us to assume it is the Christians that are killing Muslims, or it is the Muslims that are killing Christians. I'm worried and I feel like crying.
The speakers also criticized the tendency to attribute violence to a particular religion or group, arguing that this oversimplifies complex issues and can have serious consequences.
Like me, I always tell those who care to listen, don't ever tell me that this crisis is farmers' hardest. And I'll tell you, you're just saying it to please a narrative that you want to please some people. But you know, how can someone be sleeping in his room and some criminals, call them whatever name, come out there, kill him, burn his wife, burn his children, burn his house, burn his place of worship, and you still call it farmers' hardest? Where is the farm in this context?
Nigerians have a big responsibility. The governments of the country have a huge responsibility. Our local institutions have a huge responsibility. But also our religious bodies and our religious institutions have a huge responsibility to provide the right narratives.
We need education, and that's why I will appreciate NTA, and I will thank them for the work which they are doing. When we were well educated about ourselves, when we understand ourselves, at the end of the day, we discover that some people are coming from outside because they want to use us and they want to use what God has given to us.
They called for collaboration among religious leaders, political leaders, the National Assembly, and relevant ministries to address challenges and promote national unity. In Abuja, Ekemini Williams, NTA News.
The National Council of State has approved the nomination of Professor Josh Ojo Amokwiton SAN from the North Central as a new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu presented Amokwiton as a nominee to fill the vacant position following Professor Mahmoud Yakubu's exit. Yakubu served from 2015 to October 2025. President Tinubu told the council that Amokwiton is the first person from Kogi North Central State nominated to occupy the position and is apolitical. Council members unanimously supported the nomination, with Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo describing Amokwiton as a man of integrity in compliance with the Constitution. President Tinubu will now send Amokwiton's name to the Senate for screening. Amokwiton, 58, from Ayetoro Bede Ijumu local government area in Kogi State, is a professor of law at the University of Jos Plateau. He is also an alumnus of the university. He specializes in company law, law of evidence, corporate governance, and privatization law. He became a senior advocate of Nigeria in September 2014. Amokwiton was born on April 25, 1967. Meanwhile, the Kogi State government has expressed profound appreciation to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the appointment of his distinguished son, Professor Josh Ojo Amokwiton SAN, as a new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. In a statement, the state described the appointment as a validation of the president's commitment to merit and inclusiveness, highlighting Professor Amokwiton's proven track record of integrity, intellectual depth, and administrative prowess as vital for the advancement of Nigeria's electoral system. The government, on behalf of the people of Kogi State, expressed full confidence that the new INEC chairman will uphold the confidence reposed in him and ensure credible, transparent elections while bringing further honor to the state and the nation. The Forum of National Women Leaders of Political Parties in Nigeria, in collaboration with national youth leaders, have appealed to the leadership of the National Assembly and the State Houses of Assembly to expedite passage of the reserved seats for women bill currently before it. This was the outcome of a strategic meeting held in Abuja, reaffirming their collective commitment to advancing gender inclusion in governance and politics. Timothy Yusuf reports.
We don't want to second-guess them.
Amina Darasimi Brine, the president of the Forum of National Women Leaders of Political Parties in Nigeria, and also the PDP National Woman Leader, presented the common position of the strategic meeting. She described the reserved seats bill as a national imperative that will address Nigeria's long-standing gender imbalance in elective offices and strengthen democracy through inclusive representation.
The forum reaffirms its resolve to work with all political parties to publicly endorse the bill and demonstrate their commitment to women's inclusion through internal party reforms, mentorship, and active support for female candidates.
The forum emphasized that women form the backbone of Nigeria's democracy and must be accorded proportional representation through constitutional reform, and pledged to intensify advocacy and sensitization across political parties to ensure understanding and support for the bill. The forum emphasized that its position is not a fight against men, but a call to partnership. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
On the International Day of the Girl Child, the federal government has been asked to prioritize education and skills development for girls, especially those residing in communities affected by security challenges. The House of Representatives passed this resolution at Thursday's plenary with a call on the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs to create safe spaces, particularly for female folk in communities experiencing banditry and related crises. This was sequel to a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by Representative Kafilat Ogbara from Lagos State.
The House is aware that in times of crisis, be it armed conflict, natural disaster, or public health emergencies, girls often bear the brunt of the consequences. They face increased risk of violence, exploitation, and discrimination, which can hinder their education and personal development. It is essential to provide them with access to education, healthcare, and resources that support their personal and professional development.
In other resolutions, lawmakers sought relief for communities experiencing persistent hippopotamus attacks in Gombe State.
There have been recurrent deadly attacks by hippopotamus in several communities within Yamato Federal Constituency, Gombe State. The constant presence of the wild animals around rivers and the farmlands in this location has instilled fear and panic among residents, forcing many farmers and fishermen to abandon their means of livelihood.
Federal government has given all federal tertiary institutions a 30-day deadline to reconcile and submit reports of unutilized balances within the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund, for joint verification. Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, issued the directive at a meeting with heads of federal tertiary institutions, bursars, and procurement directors. Zinrit Dingmun reports.
This engagement is part of the ministry's renewed commitment to enforcing zero-tolerance policy on financial mismanagement and addressing recurrent issue of unutilized funds in tertiary institutions. To further address the challenge, plans are underway to introduce capacity-building programs aimed at enhancing expertise in procurement and project management, alongside the enforcement of quarterly reviews.
These are funds that we need to rebuild classes, build laboratories, engineering workshops, faculty offices, student auditoriums, buy instructional materials to tertiary institutions. Also, some of these ones that might even be there that have lecturers need for career advancement.
There are guidelines on how these funds are being accessed. And once that guidelines are not met, that money cannot be accessed. So these things, sometimes it takes time.
The Ministry of Education appeals to stakeholders to work collectively towards reversing the negative trend and ensure prudent use of public resources. In Abuja, Zenred Dingmun, NTA News.
This is the news desk at 6 on NTA News 24. More reports when we return.
Feel the power of precision, engineered to perfection. Every component is crafted with care, and each design is meticulously tested. From concept to creation, our engineers push the boundaries of technology, seamlessly blending performance and sustainability with a deep commitment to African ingenuity. Introducing the CNG Boss, a remarkable achievement in engineering designed to operate on compressed natural gas, a cleaner and more sustainable fuel alternative. At Innocent Vehicles, we proudly lead the way in creating greener mobility across Africa. And it doesn't stop there. From SUVs to sedans, spacious buses to electric cars, Innocent offers a wide range of models designed to meet every need. Innocent Vehicle, the pride of African Road.
This is NTA News 24.
Glad to know you're still there. The need to optimize capacity for socio-economic development and adopt measures to enhance security has been identified as critical to combating regional threats undermining Africa's industrialization. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that this was the focus of the inaugural lecture of Course 34 of the National Defense College, Abuja.
Africa is regarded as one of the most endowed continents in the world, blessed with vast human and natural resources. Despite this abundance, persistent political instability in the Sahel region, terrorism and other transborder crimes continue to pose significant threats to the continent's socio-economic development.
Africa is the resource epicenter of the world.
The lecture emphasized the urgent need for African nations to build local capacity, strengthen governance and address security challenges that have consistently hindered progress.
Africa has the talent, the resources, and the markets to achieve this transformation. What is required now is coordination, conviction, and continuity. This discipline to stay the course, the leadership to inspire others.
Addressing poverty, unemployment, inequality, and insecurity will become significantly easier once the country's industrial capacity is fully optimized.
The hosting of this event is a demonstration of the college's commitment to professional military education, which remains essential for strong and effective defense and security architecture in Africa and the world.
Speakers at the event stressed that for Africa to achieve its full potential, peace, stability, and regional cooperation must remain top priorities. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The African Continental Free Trade Area Coordination Office in Nigeria has engaged the officials of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency and Control, NAFDAC, to sensitize personnel of the agency to the basics of regulatory excellence. Senior trade coordination expert of the office, Olusegun Olutayo, said the dynamics in the One Africa market require rigid comprehension of the protocols of continental trade.
You move product, you receive product. You cannot do this without these strategic institutions. Custom has their own role. NAFDAC has their own role. Everybody has to have that understanding that I have my role, but we have to collaborate. That is the essence of the mandate that, and thanks to our dear President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has given that mandate directive to the Nigerian AFCFTA Coordination Office.
It is one of the best things that can happen to Nigeria. This office that was created by President Buhari and blessed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the African Continental Free Trade Area. This will add to what we are already planning, an intelligence unit in NAFDAC. This will be a group of staff that will be specially trained.
Federal Government of Nigeria, in collaboration with National Eye Health Partners, has reaffirmed its commitment to achieving the World Health Organization's WHO Global Eye Care Target, a 40 percentage point increase in effective coverage of refractive error services by 2030. As part of efforts to scale up access to quality eye care, a new initiative, Focus on Clear Vision, a $75 million vision initiative has been launched to tackle untreated vision impairment in low and middle-income countries, including Nigeria. The launch of the Focus on Clear Vision project stands as a central highlight of Nigeria's observance of World Sight Day 2025. underscoring the country's commitment to reducing avoidable visual impairment and promoting inclusive, equitable eye health services nationwide.
Eyes could not have come at a better time. By prioritizing eye health today, we are investing in a brighter, more productive and prosperous future for all Nigerians.
And in this project, we will train health workers and teachers in basic eye health screening. We will provide support for eye examination and dispensing of glasses. We will also do gender and disability inclusion training.
What the MOU does for us is that working with one site, EssilorLuxottica, we're going to be having vision centers in secondary facilities, in select secondary facilities nationwide. We want to ensure that the drive to enable, access to spectacles is a sustainable one.
We want to make sure that we provide access to refractive error correction in Nigeria by partnering with Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health will identify government hospitals where we will go to those hospitals with them to create a permanent vision center. A vision center is a place where we will provide all the equipment that are needed. We'll also provide the glasses in those vision centers.
A 2-year strategic plan on gender mainstreaming for implementing the Renewed Hope Agenda for Nigerian women, top issues dissected by stakeholders with the Minister of Women Affairs in Abuja. Ngozi Teknikio reports that the minister calls for collaborative partnership among stakeholders, focusing on the 8 thematic areas of the plan.
Empowerment is the focus of this gathering, with attendance of a delegation from the World Bank, women leaders and civil society groups. Under the President Agenda for Nigerian Women is the Renewed Hope Social Impact Intervention 774. The Minister of Women Affairs explained that the aim is to empower up to 50 million women across sectors, who will generate up to $1 trillion into the nation's GDP, enroll 2 million out-of-school children to safe learning environment, among others.
The focus is multi-sectoral because women feature strongly around all these sectors and they're major players. So what we want is to strengthen their potential so that they can all key in to building the $1 trillion economy as we envisage as an administration.
Other stakeholders emphasized promoting gender equality to tap into Nigeria's women intellectual endowment as they pledge their commitment to the strategic plan.
Let us take the advantage of this administration, and whatever that we need that will better the lives of Nigerian women, this is the time.
We possess the unique ability to create lasting, sustainable change for women in Nigeria.
Speakers also outlined solutions to potential impediments for effective implementation and success. In Abuja, Ngozi Teknikio, NTA News.
This is in news desk at 6 on NTA News 24. Here is a recap of our top stories.
This is coming originally from the American Senate, and this Senate or the National Assembly have a responsibility.
Senate rejects religious narrative of Nigeria's insecurity. Expedite passage of reserved seats for women. Women and youth leaders urge National Assembly. National Council of State unanimously approves appointment of Professor Amukbitan as INEC chairman.
This is NTA News 24.
President Bola Tinubu has paid tribute to the late Dr. Christopher Kolade, describing him as an intellectual giant, boardroom icon, and a true Nigerian patriot. Dr. Kolade passed away at 92. In a statement, the president hailed his distinguished career as a broadcaster, former chairman of Cadbury Nigeria, Nigeria's High Commissioner to the UK, and the Director General of the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation. President Tinubu also highlighted Dr. Kolade's contributions to education through the Lagos Business School and his philanthropic work supporting sickle cell patients. He praised the late statesman as a man of unimpeachable integrity whose exemplary life is worthy of celebration. And that concludes the news desk at 6 on NTA News 24. Thanks for watching. I'm Eucharia Clinton.